there, and welcome to the Animag podcast.
Hey, and welcome back to Animag, the #1 podcast that your grandma has never heard of. I'm your host, Asylum, sitting here with...
Domicus.
And boy, oh boy, we have reached episode 13 of Orange.
It was a long episode. I believe it was 38 minutes, but I did enjoy this episode.
It was okay. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. I lean more towards the side of liking it, you know? It cleared a few things up, and you called it. You said it was going to be a longer episode, and it was.
Yeah. There was just this one part, the scenery, that was like absolutely gorgeous.
Now that you mentioned scenery, there was a part that I was watching because I rewatched it today before we hit this, and it was a part where it was snowing and like the snow was hitting the bricks and it was melting, and I caught that too, and I said in my head, I'm like, man, that is a gorgeous scenery shot. It's the first time that I felt that way with Orange, and it's not to say that it's an ugly show because I did enjoy the art style and whatnot. It's just that's the first time that it caught my eye.
Yes.
Also, want to point out before we dive right into the fucking framework of this episode did have an intro roll, and I thought it wasn't gonna.
Didn't one of them didn't have an intro roll?
Yeah, the second to last one, the last episode we didn't have an intro roll. So I just kind of went into it assuming that this one also wasn't gonna have an intro roll because they needed to utilize all the time they had left, but they threw one in.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm glad because that's gonna be the last time we're gonna be hearing that.
I'm gonna say this also before we dive into frameworking. Intro, I've always kind of like been meh about. I do like it. I don't think it's a shitty song. The outro.
But the
outro has fully grown on me, and I kind of like it now.
Like, the outro grew on me because, like, I would listen to it. I also kept on watching it just in case something else happens at the end. Right. And also, it did play on Animag a couple of times while I was at work.
If you haven't already, check out the Animag radio section on the website. Some of the best anime music you can listen to, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Orange outro.
Dude, I caught myself singing it today, and it's just like, damn, that's when I realized this song is kind of growing on me. It's a sad song, but it's good.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, what song I'm listening to? I literally picked up my phone, typed the outro, and it was like, played it, and he was like, God damn it, every time. I might not say the words right, but you know the songs that I'm trying.
All right, so let's do this. First scene opens up. It's a shot of the letter, and it's said that February 14th, the day before Kakeru dies. So I'm assuming that's where this is all somewhat going to take place. It says that they made chocolates in one of their like home ec classes, and that Naho had actually ended up making those chocolates for Kakeru. Now, if you remember in past episodes, there was a whole big shit about the Valentine's Day chocolates, and she just couldn't muster up the courage to get them to Kakeru. The first, I'd say, quarter to almost half of this episode is going to revolve around those fucking chocolates.
Yes.
But I mean, the end of that whole segment ends up being pretty cool, so we'll dive into that. After this little classroom scene where they're making the chocolates, we get the intro roll. So you know how sometimes we talk about the pre-intro rolls always long or short? This one was really short for the last episode. Maybe that's why they included the intro roll.
Yeah, it was just them baking and then...
Yeah, I think Azu had went up to Naho and she was like, oh, he's gonna love those. And Naho's like, who? And she's like, Kakeru. She knew that she was baking them for Kakeru. After this, after the intro roll, we see Hagida and Suwa looking all sad because the girls didn't make them any chocolates. And she says, what?
Hagida, man, come
Hagida,
on.
Dude,
bread girl, you should have made him some chocolate.
She already owes him some bread from the rally race.
Just get together. Y'all were meant to be.
100%, bro. We want this more than we want Naho and Kakeru. So they're all sad, kind of looking at the girls, and they're like, where's our chocolates? One of the girls says, sorry, I told y'all I was only going to make chocolates for my dad. And then Hagida points at them and he says, don't think you're getting off that easy. So we make our way back to the chocolate scene where Naho can't spark the conversation with Kakeru to give him the chocolates. And she knows that she has to be the first one to make the move to speak. You know what I'm saying? Because Kakeru's not going to do it. And
after the whole scene of the festival.
Right. So this is something that we hadn't seen in previous versions of this one particular scene where she just can't give him the chocolates. She goes and she finds Kakeru in the hallway and she sees him. She's going to try to give him the chocolates, but something holds her back from doing it because she sees that Kakeru's holding already a bag of chocolates. And she kind of like looks and she questions it. And apparently he's like, oh, don't worry, some freshman girl gave this to me. And Naho's like, oh, what the fuck? And she kind of freaks out, right? In her head. You can visually see this. And he goes, don't worry, I barely know her. And as he's holding the bag up right in Naho's face, like shaking it. And you see this, you see him shaking like the bag and he's like, don't worry, I barely know her anyways. And Naho's holding the chocolates she had made for him behind her back. First of all, who cares? Just give him the chocolates anyways. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just give it to him while it's good.
Just be like, oh, so some freshman bitch gave you chocolates? Boom, I made you chocolates. That's all she has to do.
My chocolate is way better than hers.
So this visually upsets Naho, you can see. And she instantly kind of goes, you can't! Like she screams that. And Kakeru kind of like laughs and he cuts her off and he's like, don't worry, I won't go out with her. In fact, I won't go out with anyone. And Naho goes, you won't go out with anyone? And then he literally hits her with the classic Kakeru. He's like, later, just walks away. The third attempt at giving Kakeru the chocolate was another fail. And finally, the fourth attempt, which the letter states that was her very last chance to give him the chocolates, also kind of seemed uncertain. Like the letter kind of seemed uncertain when it was explaining to her that she was going to fail the first, second, third attempt. And then the fourth attempt was the one she needed to accomplish. The letter also seemed almost uncertain, as if she knew herself might not be able to pull it off. So it's like, it's kind of sad that even in another universe, that version of Naho still isn't so sure of herself.
Yeah.
And it said that she's wondering if she could do it again, would she even succeed? And that's what it said in the letter. So that's what I was getting at, saying that she's still not 100% sure of herself, even in another universe. And truthfully, at the rate that things are going, I doubted that she would be able to pull it off. She's just so shy and coy.
Yeah, I don't think she would have been able to pull it off by herself.
Oh, I don't think so. As they're leaving the classroom, Naho notices that Kakeru already left, which is weird to me, because she goes, oh, Kakeru, he's gone. Like, if you sit right on the side of someone, you think you would notice if they get up and leave class, right? Even the kid sitting in front of Kakeru turns around and he's like, whoa, I didn't even notice that he left. You guys fucking blind? So Naho takes off running out of the class to catch up with Kakeru. So then we see Azu ask Takako if they should go after them. And Suwa's like, nah, they'll be fine. You know, Suwa's just letting things happen. Because remember in the last episode, he said he's content with how the other universe turned out. He's happy that he's living his best life with Naho there, and that in this world, it is meant for Naho and Kakeru. So here we go, buddy. Your favorite person's rolling around the corner. As we see Naho running through the school, guess who she runs into?
The fucking bitch.
The bitch. And this is the last time we ever have to talk about her, thank the Lord.
Thank the Lord. They made it short and sweet.
100%. It was very short. She actually didn't really even need to be in this episode. And honestly, if you listen to our next podcast episode, you're going to hear me say this. She really didn't even need to be in the series at all, but we'll get into that. When I say that Naho ran into the bitch, I don't mean like they bumped into each other, was like, hey, like they collided, okay? So in the process of this collision, the chocolates that Naho made for Kakeru got smashed. So Wada says, oh god, you crushed them? Can't imagine who you were gonna give them to, but it's too late now, I suppose. Naho straight up says, it's not too late. I'm going to see Kakeru, so get out of my way. And then she just goes about her fucking business. And Wada scoffs it off and she's like, whatever. And that's it. That's the last we ever see of Wada.
Yeah, good riddance.
Good riddance, bitch.
I like how Naho actually stood up against her, though.
Yeah,
of being all shy.
I thought it was going to be a little more of a violent interaction. Like maybe she would have like punched her titty or something.
Nah, spear.
But still
Off
good.
the top rope.
Oh my god. Stone Cold Stunner.
You can't see me. Go to sleep.
Five knuckle shuffles her. Oh my god.
Tombstone Power Drive.
So, Naho's on a mission, gotta catch up with Kakeru. She finally catches up with him at his locker. He's looking pretty sad here, but it is Kakeru, so he kinda already always is sad. And he finds a letter that Naho had put in his locker saying that she wanted to give him something. And she comes around the corner and asks if he found her letter, which of course he did. He's holding it in his goddamn hands and she can see it. So, like, why even ask? And then she says, I want to give you something, but I don't have it right now. I promise I'll give it to you, though. Excuse me? This does not sound like she's trying to give this man a box of chocolates.
She already knows he's gonna die.
Bro, the way
Tomorrow.
she worded this is like she wants to go give this man some head in the bathroom or something. She's like, I got something to give you, but I don't have it on me right now.
Flashback to Kakeru giving the pin.
Oh my god, yes. I remember that. She asks if he can wait just a little bit longer. Now, obviously, she doesn't want to give him the smushed chocolates, but he says, don't worry about it. I don't need it. And he just walks away. So, like, kind of being weird. She basically begs him to hold on because she's at least wanting to talk with him for a little while longer. She's like, I don't want to regret things anymore. Like, we need to be open and talk to each other. So we cut to the letter, getting one of those classic orange letter shots. It's February 15th. She gets her final text from Kakeru. And I guess this motherfucker got a new phone because remember he smashed his shit when he was all mad at her.
Yep.
And the text was basically him apologizing to her for the big New Year's Eve fight. So that's a step in the right direction. The letter stated that she was unsure if he ever even read that text back to him. So just to tell him what the reply was.
Yeah. I actually like that part. Like whenever she was saying it, whenever she started bowing her head, you got to see a glimpse of the future Naho also doing that.
Yes, I was gonna point that out and I forgot to write it down. They did this thing. It was like a transition of separate universe scenes and they were both doing the same thing, like pretty much just professing what the reply to the text was. So it was just a nice touch. And they have a moment at school after all this. Naho says that she knows that he's been avoiding her and he admits to it. He said he was sad that he had hurt her on New Year's Eve, and she goes to reply with what the letter actually ended up telling her to say. She says that she is sorry for being the one who hurt him, and he kind of goes off here and he says that he was just scared and that's why he ran off. And then he says how he wanted to get chocolates from her and that when she had asked him to walk her home, he was so happy, and how when she kept trying to talk to him, it was making him happy. But in my brain, this motherfucker sure wasn't acting like it. You know, if you got a chick that you like and she's like, hey, you want to walk home but you can't, he's just permanently sad looking. Like, to me, I'd be like, look, I can't, but thank you for asking. Like, I really want to. You got official Animag advice.
Oh, great.
Express your damn feelings. It is not cool to try and be Mr. Tough Guy and just bottle up your feelings. Girls like it when you show your full emotions. Like, a lot of this show could have been avoided if Kakeru would have just been true to his feelings and open and expressed them, you know? Cause like right here, after he's like, but you know, you talking to me and everything was making me so happy. All right. So my internet cut out. I'm not redoing my Animag advice segment. It was just to show your feelings and be open with someone that you like, because keeping it closed will put you in this whole situation where now you have a boring show made about you.
Yes, I can actually agree.
That's
with
real
this
advice.
Animag advice. Even though I was just sitting there like, okay, what is
Hello?
it?
Hello?
Hello?
I was just recording and then I saw my notes were like connecting and I was like, oh no.
All right, let's hurry up.
Back on track here. Him being so closed off put them in this situation where like they both want to be with each other, but they're not open with each other. So right here, they both admit that they want to be with each other. And Naho says how she wants to know everything about him. And he says, thanks, but I told you I wasn't going to date anyone. Like, excuse me? You're having this big cutesy fucking moment?
But Naho comes back with a comeback.
Yeah, right here, man. She's trying her hardest in this episode, I think. This is probably the hardest she ever tried. It's Kakeru that's being the scared and unsure one right here. She even said, you once told me if I asked you out, you would agree. And he goes, I can't make you happy. And then she gives him a hug and she's like, don't be afraid to tell me everything. And he replies to that with, I hate myself and I just can't let go. Talking about his mom, right? And also in response to the like, I hate myself thing, like, yeah, bro, join the fucking club. He's having a big meltdown right here, essentially, nodding to the notion that he wants to kill himself, but Naho is trying. She offers to help him through it all. And he notices that she was hiding something behind her back. The chocolates, the smushed chocolates. He says, it's time, give it to me. And, well, maybe he doesn't say it that sexually, but
give it to me. Yeah.
She was kind of like hesitant to give him the chocolates because they were crushed. And he's like, well, who cares? And then he thanks her. Meanwhile, the whole group of friends was watching from the classroom window, and you hear Azu's big ass mouth go, hey, Kakeru, what did you say? Remember earlier in the season when he started dating Wada and they asked from the classroom door? He puts his hands over his head
circle
thing. Yeah. he does that again. So it was a nice callback to that. I appreciated that. And I think right here is about where the whole chocolate bullshit kind of like fades out, which is about midway in the episode. So they used the whole half of their last finale dealing with these chocolates, but I did kind of appreciate it because they did kind of highlight it so much throughout the season, or throughout about midway to the back end of the season. So after this, the gang was in a classroom sitting and talking. It's basically Sua saying how he still didn't want to tell Naho how he felt about her because the letter said she would turn him down anyways. But then he says, so please don't tell Kakeru or Naho about Naho and I being married. And this was confusing to me because does Naho's letter not mention that she's married to Sua in the other universe? Or like, does she already know and she's just not mentioning that?
It could be that.
Or like, that
she
part,
doesn't want to hurt Kakeru's feelings.
like, hey Kakeru, I'm married to Sua in another universe. I don't know. That part to me wasn't very clear. Or like maybe she didn't mention it in her letter, so Sua really is the only one who knows because Sua's letter said it and he had pictures and shit. I don't know.
I want to say so, yeah. I want to say that the future Naho wanted to keep that a secret.
Oh, so she didn't put it in the letter.
Maybe. I don't remember.
You don't remember from what the books had?
I don't remember.
That's like, really and truly, that's one of my only big complaints about this episode was that piece right there because I need to know, is Sua the only one that knows him and Naho are married, or does Naho fucking know and she's just not telling the group? Or did future Naho just not tell present Naho? Like, there's so many different ways you could split that. I'm gonna go with the latter and say that Sua told his self and that Naho's future self didn't tell her in the letter. So Sua really is the only one to know.
Yeah.
I feel like that makes the most sense.
That would make the most sense.
It's the day after Valentine's Day here, and the whole group of friends is being really nice to Kakeru. Remember, according to the letters, this is the day when he kills himself. Hagida gives him a pair of his old glasses because he thought he would look good in them. And Kakeru's like, yeah, man, thank you, but I can't see out of these. And like everyone's just being nice, overly nice to Kakeru. And he even asked, he's like, what is going on with you guys? Like Sua's like, bro, hell yeah, we're gonna go pro in soccer. Noticeably kind is how they're acting towards this guy. So then we go to Naho and Kakeru on the roof of the school, which is also, by the way, kind of fucking dangerous, don't you think? Why do they let school kids go up on the roof? Like, in America, they would never let us climb to the roof of our schools. That's so weird.
You can in Japan go to the roof.
They're doing it here in this show. This kid is suicidal. He doesn't need to be on a roof. He already cracked jokes about jumping out of a fucking window in a past episode.
He just runs off. Superman! You!
Kakeru mentioned on the roof, he's like, dude, everyone's acting very strange today. And on the roof, Naho gives him a classic Naho lunch. And he's like,
I haven't had this in a long time.
Yes, the lunch geeked this guy out. He's like, whoa, a Naho lunch. And the gang gave him a bunch of snacks and shit. And he's like, yeah, they told me to share this with you. She shows him the hairpin that he gave her. And he's like, oh, you still have the hairpin? She's like, yeah. And she's like, remember the school meet when we were at the school meet? She tells this dude that he was hot when his shirt is off. She was like, you look really good when your shirt's off. And guess what? This motherfucker, straight up right here, looks at her and he's like, I love you.
What the fuck?
Whoa! Excuse me? And that makes Naho cry. That blew my mind. Like, you're just throwing out L words now? Like, just 2 seconds ago, you were telling her that you weren't going to be dating anyone. Now you love her? They just started dating. This is like the next day. He waited 1 day to tell her that he loved her. Since this is a season finale, we get official Animag advice part 2.
Part 2. Hopefully I can hear it.
All right. You can fall in love pretty fast. That is a real thing that I believe in. Like, you can meet someone and like the next day have feelings of love for them, but fucking wait to tell them that you love them. Don't do it the next fucking day. What you mean, man? I didn't do that.
I don't know. You was falling in love over heels.
All right. Well, so we're moving on.
But yes, I can agree.
Yeah, just wait a while. Wait, like, 2 or 3 months. Make sure those feelings are real.
If you rush the relationship's really not going to be that great.
There's also just different levels.
Get to know each other.
There's different levels of love, too. Like, you can love them as a friend, like...
Yeah,
that's
I know where you're going with this.
You can love strippers the second you meet them,
Oh my god, and yeah, they drain your freaking money.
That's fine. We can get more, baby. We're on the #1 anime podcast on the planet. Checks are good. Checks of the first are good. All right. So he tells her that he loves her, and this makes her cry. Cutscene. Apparently, the accident that's going to happen, his big accident, happens that night after 8 p.m. And this is kind of like after school, I guess. Naho asks if Kakeru can walk home with her later after school, but he says he can't. He's like, I told my grandma I would go with her to the hospital. So now we know they won't be walking home together. We see the group, like some people are standing, some people are sitting. They're by a stairwell in the school, and they're trying to figure out if Kakeru is going to be okay on his own, because obviously after school's kind of getting towards the later back end of the day, Naho and the group don't want to leave Kakeru by himself because they know what's going to happen. They say that they can't pressure him into going with them due to what happened with his mom, you know, like he's not going to want to leave his grandma to hang out with him. We talked about this in, I think, the last episode too. He remembers what happened with his mom, so he's not going to go hang out with the group knowing that his grandma is sick. They're formulating plans on how to like stop him from getting hit by this car or whatever. And we hear Hagida say, oh, we can destroy his bike. And Sue was like, wow, that seems excessive. So they get to a final plan. Their plan is to wait at the intersection where the accident will happen. And Kakeru walks up and he's like, what are you guys plotting? And Sue says, here's a hint, we'll let you live. What?
We'll let you live.
We'll let you live.
Probably like,
Kakeru's like, damn.
It's gonna jump me?
They're gonna beat me into inches of my life. We have a big flash forward scene here, and Hagida is expressing his concerns to the group about sending the letters back to themselves. And he's worried that there aren't parallel worlds, and if they do save Kakeru, the future that they're in right now will be kind of like painted over, essentially creating a paradox world. He then mentions if the letter does successfully get delivered, that world would more than likely branch off from the one they're currently in, so it kind of eliminates that paradox and it's able to like just let both of them exist. I kind of wish they would have spent more time on this flash forward scene to maybe not explain it a little better, because it is explained well. It was just so short. Maybe lengthen it up a little bit, because this is kind of an important part of it all, because right after this, it's back to present time. Kakeru's at home praying. He's praying in front of a picture of his mom and stuff, and he asked his grandma where his mom's photos were. As he's getting the box down, his mom's phone falls out. Now remember, in the last podcast episode, old Thomicus and I had a big rendezvous about, in that previous episode, if that was current scene or future scene. In that episode, it was a future scene because now we're seeing it in current day.
Yep.
Cuts to the gang. They're waiting at the intersection. Sua goes, oh, he isn't here and it's time. So they go to his grandma's house to find him, but she tells them that he just left. And they're like, oh, fuck. They take off running. And they notice that Kakeru's bike is still at home. Still just sitting there. Wonder why. And Takako mentions that this isn't anything like any of the letters said, because apparently the letter said that he was supposed to take his bike and he doesn't. So it's the small thing that she noticed. And Hagida says they changed the future too much and they all split up to go find him. Here's the thing. This dude is legit just walking in the middle of the highway just crying. Understandably though, if you didn't hear the last episode, he found his mom's cell phone, and the whole show was plotted around the fact that he thought his mom never replied to him when he went hang out with the gang of friends and just, you know, killed herself. He discovered that she did reply, just went into a draft box. It just never went through. It didn't get sent. So he's obviously going to be heartbroken here. And that's why he's walking in the middle of a goddamn highway crying. And Naho notices him at a crossway, walking almost like he was drunk or kind of like a zombie. Like he's just kind of dragging his feet and everything. And it cuts to Naho's face and her mouth is just wide open. And we hear some tires screeching. Here's the big scene, buddy.
Big scene.
This is what we waited this entire show for. And also I have a couple of notes here, and I told you this at work. They really did nothing physical to save Kakeru. Nobody ran and pushed his ass out the way. He decided to just fall over on his side on his own. They helped him more in a mental capacity. So
I don't know. There was one person that saved him.
Who?
We're going to talk about that later.
Okay. So we hear the tire screeching and everyone's just in shock. I thought he was dead. I'm like, here they go. They failed the letter once again. Naho said, I should have known we couldn't change the past. So I thought he died.
You notice that the 18-wheeler door opens and you don't see nobody.
Yeah, like who was driving it?
Ueda.
Oh my god, she just ditched the truck. Oh my fucking god, dude. Honestly,
Kakeru.
If they would have fucking did that, 10 out of 10 episode. But I thought he was dead because of that one thing that Naho said. And we see Kakeru laying like on the sidewalk and they all run over to him. Suwa like kind of grabs him. And after a little moment, he turns and he looks at Suwa and he's just crying. Okay, he's not dead. He didn't get ran over. He didn't get hit. He's fine. And everyone's just quiet and they're all kind of crying. And Suwa yells at him, asking why he was in the road and why he would do such a thing. And Kakeru says simply, he's like, well, because I wanted to die. Well, why else would I try and off myself, you know? They show a quick flashback right here to right before he almost got hit by the truck. It's a flashback, but it's a flashback to like a few seconds ago to what Kakeru was thinking right as the truck was hurtling towards him. In his head, he's like, I just couldn't go through with it. And then he starts telling the group, he's like, basically, the reason why I couldn't go through with it was because I was afraid. I was afraid that I would miss out on something great tomorrow or what the group of friends might think of me. So like they did their job in a mental capacity where, you know, they didn't physically save his life by going and push him out the way of the truck, but mentally now they got him in a happy place where he's happy to be with that particular group of friends. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Good job to the group there. He asked them, he's like, how did y'all know where I would be? And someone says it was in the letters. Ooh, here we go.
Kakeru, like, what letters?
Dude, he's at this point, he's like, what? Hagida says the ones we got that said you were going to try and kill yourself tonight. Like, whoa, just straight up bluntly say it. And they all pull out their letters and show him just the envelopes right here. And he's like, what? He's just literally sitting there looking super confused. Finally, they explain it all to him. Apparently, right here, we learn that they all sent letters back to themselves, but they all also sent personal letters back to Kakeru. And this is the first time we hear of this out of this whole show. And basically all of the letters that they wrote and sent back to Kakeru were explaining how they were sorry for not protecting him and how they wished he could still be around in, you know, in their world. This is in the other universe. Kakeru in Kakeru fashion says he's sorry and that it's all his fault. And Sua's like, yeah, it is your fault. If you die, I'll never forgive you. And then Sua actually apologizes for inviting Kakeru on the first day of school to go get bread and everything. Cause he's like, we found out what was going to happen too late. And I was the one that invited you. For that, I'm sorry. And Kakeru's like, no, I was actually happy that you did invite me. Obviously, he was happy to get that invite to make new friends, but he also didn't know what was going to happen to his mom. So everybody's kind of like, fine, we're going to walk home to my grandma's. As they're walking back to Kakeru's grandma's house, Azu asks why he didn't take his bike, like the letters had said. And Kakeru says, I was gonna, but then I noticed that it was broken, like someone would have went and destroyed it. And Sua looks at Hagida and he's like, I wonder who that could have been. Hagida went and absolutely crushed this man's bike. I love it.
Yes. He was the hero.
He was definitely the hero.
If Kakeru was on his bike, it would have been too late to even move. He couldn't pedal fast. He couldn't do shit. He was screwed.
Honestly, that's a good point that I didn't think about. The letter said he got hit on a bike, and maybe because he wasn't on the bike, like it just delayed him enough in seconds to where he had time to fall over and not get hit by the truck. If he was on his bike, maybe it would have plowed into him. Is Hagida the real hero of this whole story? Holy shit. I
indeed say yes.
I think I'm gonna say yes too also. I think Sua also pulled a lot of the weight. Naho really didn't do much in my opinion. Hagida, you're the man, baby.
You're the man.
Character ratings, Hagida, 10 out of 10.
Hagida, you will always be a hero in my heart. Ueda, you're always gonna be the bitch in my heart.
Oh, 100%. Most hated bitch in anime. So...
Oh, that's worse.
We got... Well, yeah, but for right now, for me, she's the most hated. So let's cut to this final scene area. So we cut to the group burying a time capsule. We hear Kakeru talking while reading from a letter. He wrote a letter to bury for them 10 years in the future. And for a brief moment, they talk about how there are many different futures for themselves because of the multi-universe thing, which was kind of cool that they mentioned. And Hagida says, yeah, there may even be one where Naho and Sua are married. And Sua goes, no. And remember, he didn't want that to get out. So I guess honestly, Naho really didn't know that she was married to Sua in the future universe, which to me is smart, but also weird. You think she would have maybe mentioned that to herself, like, hey, you married Sua and you had a kid with him.
Also like how one of them said, oh, there might even be a future where Saku and Azusa is together.
Oh my god, yeah. Hagida freaks out. He's like, no, there isn't!
No way in hell!
And the episode basically ends with Naho in the other universe, the future universe, and Sua looking out into a distance, and it's Naho saying that if the day ever came where it felt painful for Kakeru to be alive, no matter what, she will always save him. And that's it. Credit roll.
Credit roll.
That's a season, boys and girls. We did it.
We did it.
I ain't gonna lie. Just from reading that, I got goosebumps on my arm, man.
And it made you feel like, oh, there's gonna be another season.
It kind of did,
another
but
episode after, like, showing what their present future self would look like, or how they.
I would have liked to have seen, because she was standing at that point, like it was that overlook point that they went to every year with Kakeru's ashes or whatever. I would have liked to have seen the present day group all standing there, doing that tradition with Kakeru there.
Yeah, that scenery was beautiful. The art.
Yeah, the last episode did a great job with the scenery, I think. So, I don't know. After going through this, I think I'm going to give it an 8.
An 8?
Yeah, I think I'm going to give it an 8.
Come on, man. Hageda, the hero?
Hageda's the hero. I don't know. I think it's an 8 for me because of those couple of parts where not explaining if Naho actually knew that she was married to Sua and Sua did that part, and then that other part where they're discussing the parallel paradise. Whoa, the parallel universes. I wish that part would have been longer. So for that, it gets an 8 in my book, not a 9, which is still high. This is the first 8 that I give out all season.
I'm gonna have to go with a 9. I actually love the art.
Yeah, the art was nice.
And plus, I read the book, so...
That's true, you did.
It really wasn't that confusing to me.
Yeah, I'd probably understand it more if I read the manga, but also do a good job of explaining shit in your show, too. Don't rely on the fact that you have a manga, I'm not gonna want to go and read Orange now that I've watched it. This is good enough for me. There's a few open holes for it, and we can maybe dive into that in the next overall review episode, which we will have a total tallied rating review of what the whole season is between Thomicus and I's each episode reviews. So you're going to want to tune into that to hear what we finally rated Orange.
And you're going to be hearing us ranking each character.
Yeah, definitely want to do that. So definitely tune in. That's going to be our last ever episode of the podcast for Orange. So until then, guys, take it easy and so long, everybody.
Sayonara.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to visit our website at www.animag.org. See you next time.